In the fantasy hockey game, the ability to spot a breakout, critical to your team's success. Even more important, analyzing whether that breakout season is sustainable. And on the latest edition of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast, we're taking a look at some big breakout players and whether or not they're worth your while next season. Let's get this paper.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back inside the lab, hockey heads, to your daily 30-minute source for fantasy hockey, NHL breakdowns, and all of the betting picks that you need to stack a little bit of loot. Welcome to the Friday edition, and thank you so much for making us your first listen. Shout out to the everydayers holding us down and doing just that Monday through Friday. We see you. We appreciate you. We couldn't do the pod without y'all. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers to FanDuel get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 wager hits. Mr. Rodin, we do have a tasty little betting board on the docket for Friday night, and I'm ready to get to those picks at the end of every single episode. You guys know what it is. Breakout players. It's a hot topic, trendy topic always in fantasy circles, but more importantly, is it a small sample size? Is it a one-off? Or can we expect these big-time performances from this season to translate into next for a number of very intriguing and enticing fantasy pieces? I've got a number of names. You have some as well. Let's talk about it, what we've seen from them this season, and whether or not we think they can do it again next year.
Yeah, a lot of breakout players that we want to talk about and guys that were probably left off the list as well. I know Pavel Dorofeyev of the Vegas Golden Knights could probably be on this list. I know neither of us have him on there after a 30-goal season. I know you're going to talk about another 30-plus goal season from Protas as well for a breakout guy. Number one for me, who I want to talk about, is Logan Cooley. That's why I want to start off for this episode. I think he is going to be phenomenal for the Utah Hockey Club. I've really enjoyed watching his game and him blossom so far in his second year in the National Hockey League.
I like this one.
56 points in 68 games so far. He's missed a few games from injury this year. I think there's no question he can finish with 60 points at least by the time of the end of the regular season. And for next year, I think he can be a 70, 75-point player in the National Hockey League. When we talk about Clayton Keller and this Utah Hockey Club, this is a different team than it was 2-3 seasons ago when they were playing out of Arizona.
No doubt.
This is a very young core, but a lot of talent throughout their lineup. You've got Dylan Guenther, who's a sharpshooter, who can shoot the puck in the back of the net. Logan Cooley, he can do both. He's more of a playmaker, but he has that sharp skill set in the offensive zone. Clayton Keller, who doesn't get enough of the credit that he deserves for being such a talented player in the Western Conference. But I really like Logan Cooley at the age of 20 still, 56 points. He's shooting the puck, 15.4 shooting percentage. Again, his game is going to develop. It's going to grow. I'm not saying he's going to be a standout in the hits and the blocks and even the shot category, but offensively on the power play, I think he's going to be a standout. And for me, he's going to be a 70-point player right there alongside Clayton Keller and Dylan Guenther and Nick Schmaltz going into next year.
Love this take, Steele. Totally agree with you on this one. And I think actually what provides a real level of legitimacy to this Utah club, and I swear down on any other team or in bigger markets, Mikhail Sergachev is a star. They have a legitimate number one guy who can affect play at both ends of the ice. That is a huge caveat for young players, confidence, and just an ability for a team to play a two-way game. Do they still have a lot to round out? Most definitely. Is Logan Cooley a part of that? For sure. But the upside and the offensive ability, the sky is the limit. Love this piece. This is a great angle to cover for Logan Cooley. I say next year might even be a bigger step, and that's not a bold take. He could really explode. I've got a number of players here, Steele, that I think we've touched on at length to varying degrees. So Dylan Holloway's take I want to keep relatively short and sweet because this player we've covered. And we've thrown out that we think as much as this year was the quote-unquote breakout. For me, I mentioned to you off air, if I had to give a percentage on my confidence in these players, Next year, Dylan Holloway for me is an 80% that he can sustain this level of play, if not improve it. Very versatile two-way forward. He's not shy to throw the body around. We've covered it. So Dylan Holloway, to me, a lot of people in the fantasy game are talking about him. I say don't be shy. People next season are going to jump all over this player. Make sure that you're one of those GMs. Let's show some love to Zach Werenski, shall we? Because 74 points, 29 penalty minutes. He's eating steel over 27 minutes of ice time per night. He has 120 block shots, and he is clearly a major reason why, and we know the Blue Jackets have had their struggles, but this team has turned around. They're not a punching bag anymore. And if they can find an answer for that blue paint, Matejchuk, they got that Lidstrom kid. They've got all the Russians. They've got Kent Johnston, Marchenko, Jenner, Monahan. This team is going to be for real. And that's why I would say Zach Werenski's Norris-level season, aside for Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes, this guy has the Norris. This is sustainable. You want a piece of this guy when he's healthy, and what he's doing now, which you got to think is going to translate into next season's deal. This guy's a top 5 fantasy D-man. Lock.
I completely agree with you. I've talked about Zach Werenski and, him being a Norris candidate this year. Obviously, he's not going to win it with the play of Cale Makar at this point in the season. But I agree with you. Breakout season for him. I think he can put it up 80%. I agree with, again, going into next year that he can do this again. Real quick to go back to Logan Cooley, just because I want to bring up his ADP. He had an ADP of 156.7. So he was getting drafted in the 15th round. I think that's way undervalued for this player right now. I could see him going up to at least the 9th or 10th round in next year's fantasy hockey draft. So there's that. I was going to leave Kent Johnson for later in this episode, but because you brought up the Columbus Blue Jackets, I'll bring up Kent Johnson too. And I think you can consider Kent Johnson's year as a breakout year. 49 points in 59 games. He has dealt with some injuries this season, and obviously the blip on the radar last year, only 16 points in 42 games. So I think at 22 years old, a full second season in the National Hockey League, I can consider this a breakout season with 49 points in 59 games. However, I really don't think that it's not that I think he can't do it. It's just, I don't know if he will be able to do this again, because when you look at the team in Columbus, Kirill Marchenko has established himself as a goal scorer for them, as an elite offensive weapon. Adam Fantilli was that second guy for me who I think can really take that next step, get to that next level for this Blue Jackets. Voronkov, Boone Jenners, obviously the top 6 group. Kent Johnson, to me, and again, as young as he is, there's going to be a lot of room for him to grow his game and to develop his game to a very sound young player in the National Hockey League. I just don't know if I'm as confident as the rest of the 4 players that I want to talk about that he can replicate this season again. And the huge difference from last year to this year, or the first 2 seasons in the league for Kent Johnson, is he's getting over 4.5 extra minutes this year than he was the 2 previous seasons. So if he's able to continue to get that ice time and capitalize on those opportunities, there's no question that he can get back to 50 points, but I don't know if he can elevate his game more than this because of what his teammates and the rest of the group in Columbus are doing right now around him.
Columbus is 11th in the NHL with 236 goals scored. Ken Johnson is a high draft pick as well. The caliber is there for all of these guys. I think what you're trying to really get at is perhaps maybe not enough ice time to go around. I don't know about this one. Ken Johnson's a tough one to put my finger on.
One that really the question mark is there.
I like it though, because at the end of the day, there's fantasy value to be had. And I think for the most part, all of the players that I'm going to talk about, aside from the next guy on this list, Steele, I have utmost confidence for the most part that they can get it done next season at this level, or even perhaps a little bit higher. And that means these are players that you have to keep in the back pocket and target next season. We got more coming up around the break. We got bets coming up at the end of the episode. Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Back then, daylight savings, it snuck up on us a few weeks ago, and if you're feeling that loss of the hour sleep still, 5 Hour Energy has your back. Extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes that little boost is what you need to power through, whether you're staying up late, watching the madness, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or trying to keep up after a busy day. 5 Hour Energy is that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. This is the time of season. Steele and I are putting in the extra hours, a 5-hour energy after work. Boom, we're back to picking winners, baby. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including our favorites, watermelon, blue raspberry, peach mango. You can even build your own 12 or 24 pack delivered right to your door. Need one right now? Grab a 5-hour energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're absolutely everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized with 5-hour energy.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Pod your first listen every single day. Hit that subscribe button, the follow button, leave a 5-star review for your boy Flip Livingstone and Steele Rodin. We appreciate all that love and support you show us Monday through Friday. Means the world to us. So thank you so much for all of that. Flip, I'm going to throw it back over to you. Breakout seasons, assessing the sustainability of some of these guys who have played excellent this year, but are they able to replicate it and have that consistent gameplay going into next year, even 4 or 5 years down the road? Who are you looking at for next year, fantasy draft wise?
This one might surprise you, Steele, considering how much I have spoken highly about Alexei Protas this year. But that's this year. And look, 66 points, 30 goals. He leads the NHL in forwards by plus minus with a very impressive, I think it's 40 now, plus 40. Few angles have me concerned. When you look at his rookie numbers, you look into his career in junior, 80 points in the dub in 58 games seems amazing. This is the dub. The year before, he had 40 and 61. He didn't exactly light up the AHL. Is he still going to be effective? Yes. Don't reach on this player. This is the one out of the 4 or 5 that I'm talking about that I'm wary of next season, Steele. Confidence level, percentage on this guy that he can repeat this breakout season, I'm going to throw it out there at like a 30 or 40% because I could still see value. I could see like 18 to 22 goals. This guy's not going 30 plus goals. He's not leading the NHL in forwards by plus minus again. And not only is it because of what I've seen from him in his career, and I know he's a young player, big frame, all the tools to make noise. It's also, I don't know what happens for this Washington Capitals team if this happens. Look, a lot of magic is flowing through this team, no denying. Logan Thompson's sensational, but a lot of things has gone very right for this team. Chikrin, Ovi's health, all the young guys stepping up, basically at every turn. That's not going to happen every single year. And what happens if Ovi breaks the record this season? They go on a decent run and fall flat. Next year, there's no guarantee that this team runs it back as good as it is right now. So I know that's kind of throwing a lot of hypotheticals, but looking at the numbers, looking at the trends, I'm going to say be wary next year of Protas. All the other players I think I'm really, really loving. Protas for me is going to be the hardest one on my list to replicate. Breakout season this year, I don't see the sustainability with this player.
I think you can look at a lot of the Washington Capitals players and feel this way about them going into next year. And I think all of them still have tons of fantasy value and they're all draftable players. But when you go up and down the lineup, Dylan Strome, career year right now. Tom Wilson, career year, 30-plus goal season. Ovechkin, once again, 40 goals season, almost 40 goal season. Protas, McMichael, Chikrin, like you said, there's a lot of players who are having career years. That's why they're in the race for a President's Trophy right now. I think you can look at this team up and down the lineup and say that and feel that way for a lot of the players on the roster. Here's my next player, and I know you don't agree with this one. It's my job to convince you otherwise and convince everyone else.
I'm open
listening. For me, Jack Eichel fits into this description of breakout and sustainability that we're talking about on today's episode. I think he is having a breakout season. And when you look at the numbers, 93 points in 73 games. This is the first time in 5 years that he even has more than 75 points in a season. And why is that? Because he's been healthy. That has been the thing that drags Jack Eichel through the mud for fantasy hockey leagues is, can he stay healthy? For me, this is the second coming of Jack Eichel's NHL career. This is what he will be, and this is what he is and will be for many, many years for the remainder of his National Hockey League career. So for me, 93 points in 73 games with the potential of hitting 100 points for the first time in his career, which is not out of the question with 8 games left in the season and very easy schedule for this Vegas Golden Knights team, there's no question about it. It's a breakout season for me. And I do believe he can be, he's more than capable of sustaining this type of play going into next year. Again, at 28 years old, with everything he's had to deal with the organization, with the Buffalo Sabres, the injury, the surgeries and everything, he's had to figure out how to change his game and his play style to fit in where he's not leaving himself in vulnerable positions anymore, where he's not putting himself in dangerous positions. So I think this is a breakout season for Jack Eichel. When you look at the top players in the National Hockey League, you have tier one of Nathan McKinnon, Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, Kucherov. Those are the top 4 guys pretty much. They're all solidified right now. I think Jack Eichel is just as good, if not better, with the guys of Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, Braden Point, those type of David Pastrnak. I put him in that category right now. And again, I think when you look at some players like Jack Hughes or other players that get injured consistently, I think Jack Eichel's gotten over that hump. I think he's figured out how to stay healthy, how to play his game where he can score and play make and do everything in between. For me, breakout season. His ADP was 51.2. This is a second round draft pick. There's no question about it.
Looking at Fantasy Pros, which also factors in 3 different leagues, Yahoo, ESPN, CBS, he averaged
42.7.
He averaged out exactly right in there at that 41, 42 overall mark. To me, this is one of those players that, because of where you were probably able to get him, you're looking up at the table in your league, and the 1 or 2 spots probably have a Jack Eichel in there. I wanted to disagree with you on this one, Steele, and after looking into the numbers and, like stats across the board, just being so good for Jack Eichel, he's tied for 4th in the NHL with points, and I don't think a lot of people are talking about it. So I'm not going to pick you apart on this one because it is just that good of a season. Look, the Vegas Golden Knights are a great team, but they are going to need him to do his offensive thing in the postseason when you've got the Dallas Stars cooking, the Winnipeg Jets cooking, the Edmonton Oilers lurking. We haven't even gotten onto the Colorado Avalanche. So I like this take. He's been so good. Can't deny it. Let me throw it a little love for Matty Knies because there's only 3 players in the NHL this season with 25-plus goals and 150-plus hits: Tom Wilson, Brady Tkachuk, and Matty Knies. That immediately means, take away all the Leafs hate, take away a quality of player and what you want to say how good he is. He is fantasy gold now. He's fantasy gold, and 51 points in 71 games. Last year, 35. To me, that's breakout, especially because I want to talk about the sustainable angle. 100%. I say 80%, 90%. He's going to be playing with the same studs next season, and say what you will about the Leafs, they will continue to score goals. Fact. That's it. And fantasy-wise, to me, he is going to be one of those players that I could see GMs reaching on, but I don't know if I can fault them because peripherally, categorically, this kid's a beast. And sure, he could still round out some of his game. He's 22 years old still, and he already has 154 games under his belt. So breakout, yes. Is he a Leafs guy? Yes. So we want to really jack him up. I think this player is going to be a fantasy stud for a long time coming. He's got all of – can the Leafs re-sign him is a big question, and a caveat that you maybe want to consider. To me, breakout, sustainable, big-time, Matty Knies, stud.
100%. I mean, I would be at 100% confidence level going into next year. If he's playing in the top 6 group, whether he's playing with Nylander, Tavares on the second line, Marner and Matthews on the first line, doesn't matter. The way he plays his game is exactly what this Leafs team needs, and he's had a dramatic improvement in his game in the offensive zone and overall 200-foot game. I think you're going to really like this next player that I want to talk about for breakout seasons and sustainability going into next year as well. All of that, big-time bets coming up next. But first, this episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. March Madness is here. It's the Final Four. And FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets. When your first $5 bet wins, that's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year. Didn't pan out, but FanDuel makes it so easy to back them up with spreads, totals, and game props. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly. No waiting around, which I absolutely love. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. And once again, thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Pod your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button, share with your friends and family out there. We really do appreciate all that love and support you show us. So thank you so much for that. Flip, I think you're going to like this one the best out of everything because I'm going to compare it to Matthew Knies. I'm going to compare this player to Matthew Knies. And for me, I'm looking at Juraj Slafkovsky. As much as it isn't a breakout season in the offensive zone, I think when you look at his overall game, he has drastically improved his 200-foot game, especially in the defensive zone. 50 points in 82 games last year. He's got 47 points in 71 games so far this season. So there's no question that he can either match it or even have a career high of over 50 points. 118 shots. His shooting percentage is at a career high, 14.4. He has that physical aspect, just like Matthew Knies as well. These are, when I look at Slafkovsky, again, it wasn't a breakout season in the offensive zone, but I'm looking at his total game and what is he providing for this team right now. And that's why I like the comparison to a Matthew Knies or the comparison to a Zach Hyman. Maybe not the most skilled guy, maybe not the most elite shot, but he fits a role exactly for what his team needs him to do. And at 20 years old and Matthew Knies 22 years old, there's so much potential. There's so much room to hit this ceiling. And I think they have very similar games. You know, they fight hard in the corners, dig out the pucks. They plant themselves right in front of the net for deflections or rebounds on shots from the point. Again, they have a physical aspect to their game, both of them. Juraj Slafkovsky, 178 hits this year, 56 blocks. So
huge.
I think when you look at a guy like Slafkovsky and Matthew Knies, who they get to play with such talent at a young age, and I know it's a little bit different for Slafkovsky because his teammates are pretty much the exact same age as him, and it's a younger core, but there's so much room for them to all grow together and solidify themselves as that guy in the top six amongst the superstars offensively. So I think Slafkovsky is a guy who has that sustainability in him, has the talent, just needs to buy in a little bit more. I love his attitude this year with Martin St. Louis. And I like Slafkovsky as the breakout player for next year, too. I feel 65-70% confident with him going into next season.
A lot of love for these young Canadians pieces over the last couple episodes, Steele. I don't know. We might want to check ourselves a little bit.
Reel ourselves back in a little bit.
And I think as I listen to you say this and really sell me on this player, and it wasn't a hard sell by any stretch. If you can get yourself even 2, 3, or maybe get 4 of these names we've mentioned today somehow next season on your team, you're going to be sitting very pretty. I like it, Steele. Lane Hutson, we've covered this. This is for me next season, I think there still is the potential for growing pains with this Montreal Canadiens team. And I know right now they're on a heater. And we talked up Suzuki. We love what's going on behind the bench. I still have question marks about the goaltending. I have question marks about the depth. And we know young players can have growing pains. So Lane Hutson, this is a breakout season. Clearly, he's doing historically good things by rookie D-men. This kid is going to be worth the price of admission. But let's also remember that he's 21 years old. And sometimes it can look amazing. And next season, we've seen it across the board. So my confidence level is at 70%. I had it higher, but I just have my concerns about what this team can do next season. Let's say things go bad in the postseason. They get swept or something. There is no guarantee that they start next season on a heater. So is he a must-add? Is he a keep? Is he still going to have great numbers next year after a breakout this year? Yes. I just don't immediately think that it's a wise decision for a guy who might finish with, he's got 62 now. Let's say he finishes with, 70 points, to expect that he does even more next year. To me, that would be a mistake, meaning don't reach. Don't go too early on Lane Hutson. He will have value, but there might be growing pains. If you don't mind, Steele, tonight, Friday, 3-game betting board. Let me spit my picks out quick.
I got one last player real quick.
Oh, my bad. Please, then go ahead.
I got one last player. I'll make this quick. We'll get to big time bets. Sneaky breakout season from Gabe Vilardi of the Winnipeg Jets. He has to
Oh,
be on this list right now.
I like it.
61 points, a career high for him. 61 points in 71 games.
Love it.
27 goals, career high. 34 assists, career high. 130 shots, career high. You get the point. Pretty much across all categories, peripherally, it's career highs for Gabriel Vilardi. He hasn't played since March 23rd. He
Right.
was deemed out week to week with an upper body injury. Nevertheless, 61 points, like I said, in 71 games. Usually plays in that top 6 group alongside Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Nikolai Ehlers, and such. Obviously, gets the power play PP1 unit time as well. Breakout season. The question is, again, can he stay healthy? There's a reason why the Winnipeg Jets traded for him in that Pierre-Luc Dubois trade a couple of years ago. They like this player offensively. Again, a lot of the question with some of these players is, can they stay healthy? He hasn't been able to do so. Again, career high. This is actually the most games he's played in the season, 71, which is a career high for him. The confidence level for me, it's 50-50 with this player. If he's in the lineup, he's an absolute stud. He gets by under the radar. People overlook him. If he can't stay in the lineup, obviously it drastically hurts his stock and his value. But I think this is a player, if he remains healthy, no question that he can be a very top talent value player for your fantasy team next year.
Sneaky indeed. I like that. My bad for jumping the gun. It's
All
because
good, brother.
It's because I'm excited about my picks. And let me start with what's going on here with Alex Ovechkin. And let me frame this thusly. When he went for his 600th goal, and also in his career, I think it was also his 700th goal. Each game that he went into, headed into breaking the record, he was 2 or 3 goals shy that first time after getting close. And he scored 2 and a hat trick. As in, he's 3 short now. He smells blood in the water. I would be shocked if Alex Ovechkin doesn't get a tally also against the Chicago Blackhawks. First pick, Ovi, anytime goal. You mentioned all the angles. We've covered this in his career, 25 regular season games. Oddly enough, Steele, the Chicago Blackhawks are the team that Ovechkin has played the least games in his entire career against. At 25 games played, still 30 points in those 25 games, 15 Genos, 15 apples. Hit me with Ovi anytime goal. And very quickly, both of my lock of the night and my second pick come from the same game. The Carolina Hurricanes are choosing a great time to play their best hockey of the season. 8-2-0 in their last 10 games overall. And against the Detroit Red Wings in their last 10, 7-2-1. Hit me with the Canes on the money line and my lock of the night. Been a while since I've spoken about my boy. Sethy Jarvis on a heater, playing sensational hockey. He is putting up points. He's up to the 30-goal mark. 5 points in 9 career regular season games against the Red Wings. Lock of the night, Seth Jarvis, anytime point.
I'm loving all 3 of those picks, especially the Ovechkin anytime goal, because I have that myself. I really wanted to go with Ovechkin 2+ goals in this game. But
I could see it, Steele.
I could see it as well, but for me, the juice wasn't there. The 2+ goals is at plus 400 compared to what you usually get at like plus 900, plus 1,000. Not enough juice for me. I'm comfortable enough taking the anytime goal at minus 115. Sorry, minus 135 is what it's sitting at right now for my first pick. Second pick, Wild on the money line against the New York Islanders at plus 105. I don't know why I'm getting plus money for the Wild right now as they continue to play some pretty good hockey. They're 7-2-1 in the last 10 against these Islanders. They've won 7 straight. So I'm taking the Wild at plus 105 for my second pick. Enough said. Third pick, Red Wings Hurricanes under 6.5 in this matchup. 9 of the last 10 have gone under the number. If you really want to get spicy, you can take the under 5.5. I believe it's at plus 105 right now. 7 of the last 10 have gone under 5.5 between these two teams. So if you want to get spicy with it, you can do that. But I tend to stay with the under 6.5. Lock of the night is the Ovechkin anytime goal.
I love these picks, Steele. Let's have a big Friday night. Steele, the season is about to wrap up. This is wild. And we'll be here, playoff previews, every single series, all the way to the cup gets lifted 5 days a week. Don't you fret, fantasy fanatics. Steele and I have your back.
We love you out there. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Pod your first listen. It means the world to Flip and I. For your second listen, please go check out the Locked On NHL podcast, where the season never ends. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. From your boys here, Flip Livingstone and Steel Rodin, we wish you good luck with those bets tonight. Over the weekend, we wish you good luck with your weekly matchup still, and we shall see you back here again on Monday.